Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Friday night of the Victorious Triumph series. This is the last week before playoffs, and our teams are hoping to put their best foot forward as we move into that postseason. Tonight's best of three will feature fourth place Glacial Esports Black versus third place PS Elementary. Both teams are already locked into those playoffs, but there are still some stakes on the line. If PSE win this match, they have a chance to break into the top two depending on the other results that come in tonight. GEB do not have that opportunity, but still obviously want to show a strong form in this match, and I'm sure they wouldn't mind playing spoiler either. My name is Crewman. Joining me is the terrific Turk to round out the regular season. Turk, how are you feeling tonight?
I'm feeling great, crewman. How are you feeling, man? You ready to roll?
Oh, yeah. And we're going to roll right into this first draft. They have already begun.
Yes, they have. And GEB does. They are a home team here, of course. They do actually end up picking the blue here, so that is their side select. It'll be interesting to see what they prioritize, but both crewman and I, we've casted these guys a few times. We have a little bit of an idea about what they might look for, and we got a hunch that it might be this Jinx champion that we've seen buff just recently here, crewman.
Yeah, and I think that is a fantastic place to start, Turk. Our conversation is on this brand new patch that we have to work with. 1320 is a little bit of a doozy. We were talking a little bit about it before going live here, Turk, but maybe just highlight a couple of things for us. What stands out for you the most in this patch, besides those Jinx buffs?
I got my notes here just in case I needed them, and I do. There's quite a bit. Obviously, we got the Casante rework. It'll be interesting to see if any team really wants to prioritize that. But all besides all the nerfs and the buffs that we ended up seeing, which were reasonable in amount, I guess you could say, it's really about the system changes themselves. We've seen a bunch of different things change. The amount of plate or the amount of gold that plates are worth now has gone down. So I think it's 50 gold per plate. That's going to affect things. Really, a lot of this early game has been targeted around snowballing, kind of denying that. So junglers themselves have a bit of a worse clear. We're going to see the priority actually going towards that Rakan as well. There's a lot. There's a lot that we could go over with this draft. I think, or excuse me, with this patch, it'll be interesting to see how it really plays out. But long story short, yeah, jungle clears a little bit harder now. Laners are harder to kill, of course. The Doran's items actually end up getting buffs. Souls are worth more. Dragons are worth less. The runes, as a whole, generally speaking, are pretty much nerfed across the board. Right? We
Yeah.
got and then really, I guess the last thing we can mention is shorter death timers before you go on about the rest.
Absolutely. I mean, there's so much, Turk,
Ah,
like you
too
said, and
much.
I'm sure we can get into it some more, as we go. Some of that will come up. But as we can see, the Jinx has been banned away here, so that is not something that we will need to concern ourselves with for game number one. The Rakan has come through on B1. Zaya still available, and that should probably be locked in here now for Glacial Esports, considering the fact that Lovers Duo is so powerful in that bot lane.
I agree with you too. Yeah, so I think they're preemptively picking the Ezreal. Ezreal tends to do pretty well into the Xayah, so that's my guess there. They're kind of just accepting it, willing to handshake, and we're actually going to see it looks like a full commit onto a dive here from GEB, which isn't something that we always see. Generally, from them, we see a lot of front to back play style. So this, if they lock this, which they do, okay, now we're going to get to see a bit of a dive comp here. So we got the Rakan Nocturne. It'll be interesting to see what they pair with this. It might be a Galio on B3. They might decide to actually hold on to their AD, but I like this pivot from GB already.
Yeah, you feel like this is more of a pivot because of the patch, or maybe just because of they're trying to show something new before playoffs, maybe, or why do you like the pivot exactly, Turk?
Well, it shows that they're willing to play other play styles. When I think of GEB, I really do think of this like front to back. I think the one thing that we do want to highlight tonight though is that actually there's a couple players that aren't in the same positions that they usually are. Like Leoto isn't here, and I believe it's June Haha who's actually going to be covering, which is going to be interesting to see how that works out. He's a mid laner, like that's his role as far as I know from his op.gg. So I think this is kind of what we're starting to see here, but we've already got a really nice wombo combo coming in from them here. So it's something to take note of. GB's usually pretty much known for their weak side top, like the weak side warrior mentality with Leoto. Play through mid, play through bot, kind of try to accelerate the game through that way, stack dragons, play front to back. But in this case here, we're going to see GB go for that wombo combo like that. Still a nice team fight. PSE on the other side decide to round themselves up with the Viego, which is a nice comfort pick for top prodigy. We're going to see the Ezreal and then the Cassidon, which is just a big screw you, the middle finger, some would say, to that Oriana. So it'll be interesting. Time will tell. Both mids want to scale up too.
Yeah, really interesting now this mid lane matchup. Not because of, we're going to expect much action in the mid lane. Quite the opposite. With these
Mhm.
champions locked in, most likely not going to see a whole lot happening in that middle part of the map for the early portions of the game. But interesting because, these champions feel like they're pretty powerful in the current iteration of the game, right? Oriana, we've already seen it. World's extremely meta right now, extremely powerful. Has been very much a priority pick over there, has a lot of winning matchups right now. And then the Caston coming through in response for
Mhm.
PS Elementary, on this new patch on 1320, it does feel like scaling is a lot more powerful, right? With the reduced power of those early game snowballs, Caston should have more time to actually get towards that level 16 mark and get to a part of the game where he can theoretically carry.
I agree with that too. Yeah, and GEB's jungler is going to take a little bit of time before they actually end up getting online. Obviously, a pre-6 Nocturne isn't nearly as strong, so it might actually give that Cassidy enough time to be able to get to that level 6 mark where you feel relatively safe. But really, on Oriana, your power spike is level 9 when you have 5 points in your Q, and then on Cassidy, it really starts to become level 11 when you have that second point in your ult, and the cooldown starts to get a lot lower. So both mids should be able to scale up. It'll really just be about how they kind of both teams here, excuse me, round out this phase 2 draft here. And in PSE, R4 here, they're going to elect to just save that blind pick or that counter pick for the top. They're going to pick the Alistar. I don't think there'll be a Silas angle from GEB, but I do know that they might actually end up playing it topside. That is possible. That Alistar, I doubt it though. I don't think it's worth it. So the R4
Yeah.
Alistar will come in to basically deal with that Rakan, and I think it's a pretty good answer. Oh,
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 ooh, indeed.
okay. Okay. Do they do it?
Yeah, let's just wait and see if it gets locked
Do they
in.
do it?
We'll see.
The
The
Vayne's
vein.
good here.
Yeah. Why is the vein good here, Turk? Why are we excited about the vein?
So the Vayne has a Kadem, so you can always buffer the Alistar. It's really hard to engage as him, and then the Vayne itself actually does pretty well into the Ezreal too. Should give you enough time to be able to scale up. It's not the greatest
Yeah.
matchup for the Vayne early on, obviously, but like if you're dodging Qs, but you have your tumble, there's a good chance that you can set a lot of things up. And who's really going to punish you on the side of PSE? Like, is it going to be Kassadin, or are they going to get mid prio and then be able to slide down towards bot and then like gank you? Probably not. Viego, I could see it. Yeah, you gotta be careful of the jungler from PSE's side, but the Vayne is it's a pretty nice
Yeah.
niche pick here. I like it. It does actually kind of set them up for that nice wombo and self peel from their carries, and we're gonna see that Jax coming in, and wow, a really quick, really quick, excuse me, Alawi from PSE
Yeah.
there. They're gonna R5 that right away, and the Alawi's a pretty spicy pick too, right? Because Alawi's perfect for counter dive, and what's GEB? They're all about dive, so the Alawi in this case isn't too bad either. It's not really a champion you see too much. It'll be interesting because truthfully, I don't really know how the Jax in the Alawi matchup goes, but I do know that if Alawi is able to scale up, if I'm not mistaken, it's going to be comparable towards that Jax. I don't know who's going to win in that 1v1. Split push advantage is going to be massive between both of these teams. So really, you want to take a look at the 4v4s. So the 4v4 GEB that they have Rakan, Nocturne, Oriana, and Vayne. They can pretty much force any fight that they want. Then on the side of PSE, you got Viego, Ezreal, Kassadin, and Alistar. They have some tools to be able to make something happen, but they definitely need levels. That Viego might be a nice bridge to get PSE from that early game into that sort of midish game, basically when your ultimates start to become up, when you're getting a couple components for your first item, probably your mythic. So it'll be neat to see what really happens here, but overall, pretty spicy drafts, pretty exciting stuff here from game one. Seeing some nice flavor changes here, Grumman. What are you thinking?
Yeah, definitely pretty interesting drafts here. I'm a fan as well, Turk. The Vayne pick coming in, obviously, as far as Vayne matchups go, the Ezreal is not going to be able to pressure you that hard in the early laning phase, right? So, like you were saying, the Vayne should have time to scale up into a decent position in this game. And it is, I think, a pretty cohesive composition for Glacial Esports Black here. They are definitely focused around the dive. They have strong scaling as well, right? Strong scaling on the other side too. So it's not like that's necessarily an advantage, but the point is they should still have some options, as we go later on into the game. Definitely some really exciting champs on both sides. Definitely feels like we are probably going late in this first one, Turk.
I wouldn't be surprised to see that either, and it'll be I'm gonna really be paying attention to how well GEB is able to play around the mid priority because they should be able to get the mid prio. I don't know if they win that 2v2. I feel like they probably should be just fine, but I really don't expect any 2v2 to happen. So Oriana would be surprised if she just starts to be able to push in right around that level 8-9 mark. So maybe before then, if they're able to rotate that mid and jungle and impact bot lane, especially, it'll be neat to see. But I think really it's going to be about both teams grouping up. GEB's comp to me looks like they have more cohesion. It's just whether or not they're able to pull trigger, right? You have that Nocturne all, you have that Oriana ball, you have the Rakannar, you have a lot of follow up, a lot of chain CC. If you're able to land your cooldowns in conjunction with each other, while PSE's team, it looks like they're more scrappy, they're more brawly, they want to get involved and find you basically alone or being able to pick you off in the jungle, say. So PSE's comp will be interesting to see. I think GEB's is a bit easier to execute, but yeah, it doesn't really matter about what I think, does it? Time will tell.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say that Glacial Esports are easier to execute. They have more engage, right? And
Yeah.
that's their composition is, as you mentioned as well, a little bit more cohesive as well around that engage, right? It's very clear what they're trying to do. Whereas PS Elementary, it feels like in theory maybe they do have some more options, but the options are when you have divergent options, it's not necessarily always a good thing, right? Because you do need to make sure that everybody is on the same page in regards to what option we're actually going with in any given game state. You were saying earlier, Turk, that you see this as pretty much a 4-1 comp from PS Elementary. I do think they have some 1-3-1 capabilities as
Yes, they
well
do.
in theory, as long as
Yeah.
the casting doesn't fall too far behind early on, right? Should
Yeah.
also be able to be pretty comfortable in that side lane. So, I do think there's going to be maybe even in theory some more options on the side of PS Elementary if we do end up going into that really late game. But that is a little bit conditional on what ends up happening earlier on. So
Yeah, you're right.
It's exciting couple of drafts that we have for sure.
Yeah, we got a bit of 4D chess because you're right. They can 100% 1-3-1. They can look for the double split push. The one kind of like wrench you want to throw into that machine there is actually that Nocturne, right? That Nocturne could really kind of scare you away from that playstyle. So could be really neat here. Yeah, if the solo laners are able to get ahead from PSE, I feel like that allow is gonna be really tricky to deal with. I don't ever want to gank that. That Caston's gonna be really hard to kill. Once that time comes, obviously those 2 points in the net really help. But that third one, once you're at level 16, that's where things start to get really scary. That Caston 100% should be able to scale up. The GEB's comp wants to do the same thing. So yeah, that 1-3-1 style is there. It's just how well can GEB play around this Nocturne pick.
Yeah, that's the thing though about the Nocturne pick. I mean, you're absolutely right. In theory, Nocturne is great at shutting down 1-3-1 compositions, right? But when you look at this specific composition for PS Elementary, if your side laners are Kassadin, Alawi, like Nocturne doesn't really want to dive on top of either one of those champions, right? Alawi likes nothing more in this world than other champions on the enemy team diving on top of her, right? It's literally her favorite thing. And Kassadin has the Rift Walk, right? Once he gets to level 11, he should be very, very slippery in that side. And it's tough for Nocturne to lock down a Kassadin with the fear. So, in theory, you're absolutely right that the Nocturne could be very capable of shutting that sort of thing down, but in practice, I'm not actually convinced that it's going to work out that way. Again, it just depends on if the Nocturne is snowballing or not, right? If he has enough upfront damage to really threaten those kills before the Castle and the Alawi can kind of turn those plays around, right?
Yep.
Kirk, we're halfway through our spectator delay. We've discussed the draft now at some length. Do you have a prediction for us for how this first game might end up going?
Yeah, I do. And when it comes down just to like fundamentals of like draft itself as a whole, like GEB's comp, we already talked about really quickly. Can kind of elaborate a bit more on it here. The cohesion that they have is that much more. When ultimates are up on GEB, they can just kind of look to group up. Heroes 4, if they can have that Jax split. Wincon, that's great. And if they can't, just have the Jax flank or even just group up and basically front to back. But yeah, if you're able to pull trigger on your ultimates at the same time, you have those all available with your cooldowns, and you're able to actually execute, then GEB's comp is far easier to pull off. PSE on the other side, like they've got a solid comp too, I think. Again, just lacking a little bit of cohesion, but that split push, they're all really slippery. Like you look at Viego, it's hard to kill Viego. It's hard to kill Ezreal. It's hard to kill Kassadin after 6, right? Especially 11, so on and so forth. Alawi, good luck actually trying to kill her. You probably need to send 3 or 4 people up there. And then Alistar, he might be a little bit of bait, but yeah, PSE's comp, they really want to be able to avoid that engage from GEB, but in my experience as a player, it's much easier to execute the comp that wants to pull trigger, wants to go in really quickly. I find it much easier to play that style as opposed to the pick style, so that's why I'll give it to GEB off the start.
Absolutely makes sense, Turk. These teams tied right now in the standings. We shall soon find out if the dive comp from the side of Glacial Esports or the more scaling, more split push focused comp from the side of PS Elementary will emerge victorious in our first game tonight right after this short break. We'll see you soon. All right, everybody, welcome onto the Rift for the first time tonight. Glacial
Hitting me
Esports
is
Black
like
on the
boxing
blue
with
side, PS
shadows.
Elementary on the red to start us off. Looks like not much of a level 1 here in this first
30
game.
seconds until minions
Yeah, just a
spawn.
little healthy 5-stack basically from both teams. Submit though, you might be sending a text or something right now. He is sitting towards his tier 1 just hanging out, but does have that smart ward in that tri-bush. But yeah, really at the end of the day, I don't think there's much level 1 threat from either of these teams. So healthy 5 points, some really defensive vision coming down from PSC pretty early on. Could be a little worried about that invade, it looks like to me, but I don't think much will happen there. Just neutral vision across the board, and really it'd just be interesting to pay attention to these junglers here. We didn't get a chance to talk about it too much here, but it's really going to be on top Prodigy here if he's able to kind of get anything going early on. Obviously, he's Viego, you want to get those kills, and a pre-6 Viego is going to be much stronger than a pre-6 Nocturne. So if there's any windows for them to be able to find something to make happen, my guess is it's going to be bot side. So I wouldn't be surprised to see quite a bit of emphasis being put towards this bot lane. But right now, it looks like both junglers are starting bot, so default clear path would mean that they'd head up top, but of course they do have that option if 3 can't head towards that bot side, but there's a lot of factors. It'll be interesting to see here, but yeah, pretty spicy so far. Hopefully.
Yeah, we'll see. You know, stacking the top side camps early on might be a little bit dangerous with these scaling identities on these compositions. You know, falling behind early is not necessarily ideal for either side. So I think we probably can expect a slower early game. You know, we shall see. You know, the Alistar is definitely the only setup in any of these lanes for Prodigy if he does want to go for any early looks, right, Turk, as you were, you know, just saying. So we will have to keep a little bit of a track on that bot lane and tapping into Viego to see if anything like that does end up coming through. But ultimately, I think both sides can be pretty happy to just kind of scale into this mid game.
That's just a little bit of cash control. Really the right answer is for both junglers just to look at full clear right now. Right around that 4.5 minute mark. Decent engage here from Slylight coming in. Nice trade. And good spacing there too, getting nice bit of extra damage on Shiva. But really it's gonna be around that 4.5 minute mark when both junglers are back towards that bot side. That's gonna be level 3, level 4 on those bot lanes. And I think that's what makes it happen. Look at that damage rate.
The damage coming out from this Alawi right now. Wait, beating early on, going back in with the leap strike, has the counter strike for the stun, but this is a little bit dangerous. Alawi has the flash going in for it, and that's gonna be it. That's gonna be the first blood, and June, not paying enough respect, laughing in the face of his enemy. He should have been cowering in fear, apparently.
That's a great start right now for Submit. PSC looking happy. That split push win con could be a nice option for them here. Of course, you're going to have to catch this wave right now. Submit, you should be in much trouble, but we do have to take
Very aggressive call considering what just happened in the top lane, but Nocturne appears to be winning out in the war over the Crud camp. And
right,
I think getting most of that.
Yeah, that's right. And you can see Kaidazur too using that mid prow that he has to push up and rotate in, be able to try to contest that camp there. Unfortunately, not much is able to come of that right now, but as time goes on, again, we're just going to see this wave being pushed in. Kaidazur is going to look to either move, get some vision set up, or look to kind of move alongside to whatever sideline Pulpang moves to as well.
I think potentially look for the double scuttle here. Top Prodigy also on the way to that South River. I would push a little bit. See if Kaidazur is going to be able to rotate once again to help out the junglers. Nocturne and Viego do meet in the banana brush. Top Prodigy, though, a level down. Looks like just going to have to back away from this one. See that double crab advantage over to the Nocturne.
Right, not too many times you get to see an Orianna with Prio at level 4 and level 5. But at this point right now, there's no doubt that you're going to have that. The wave push that you have is not even close in comparison to the wave push, lack thereof, from Casper, of course. And I really like this here from GEB too. They're looking to abuse this Prio, Popang, looking for this kill on top Prodigy.
Yeah, ooh, that's the flash. A nice reaction from top Prodigy. Does manage to get the Gromp with the smite over the wall. So Viego actually managing fairly well in that difficult situation. Did have to flash, but not going to be falling too far behind as a result.
Yeah. Sides are being drawn on the map right now. You can see the top side.
Ooh, the double knockup with the grand entrance. Now Yezreel's going down.
Wait,
very
all this
low.
stuff.
Have to cleanse, get off the ignite, but Ecliptic Bolt has his own ignite to take down the Vayne. Silva's going to get taken down now, and it's 2-0 for PS Elementary in the early game.
Wow, and that's just a really good heads-up play there from Ecliptic Bolt. Actually landing that auto on Silva when he was tanking. And I don't think Silva recognized that, but by the time they did, it was too late. You don't have that cleanse, and there's not much you can do about it. It's just be another kill. And what I was going to highlight really quickly was that PSE's top side was looking great, but now it looks like both side lanes are actually doing a-okay here. So as time goes on, they're going to get this 6 on this Chasm. He's going to be a lot safer. Of course, he hasn't died. He's pretty good on the CS, the XP itself. So things are going pretty well for PSE right now. And GEB, of course, their team comp itself doesn't really come online until they have that 6, so there's still plenty of time. We have scaling across the board, but right now PSE, they might have been able to identify their win on those side lanes.
Yeah, going according to plan for them so far, but obviously still lots of League of Legends to play here. Far from over this first one. We do have an Infernal Dragon to start us off. Nocturne finishing up his clear towards that top side. Gabe going to be first to the scene in the South River, but needs to be seen whether he actually wants to start that one up or not.
We do have this wave just building up right now on the side of GEB. They're using this time right now. PSE is, of course, Top Prodigy is starting this Dragon right here, and I think this is a pretty safe bet. Right now, I wouldn't be too surprised if this just doesn't get contested. And top side this whole time, too. Submit really is just stacking up these waves, making them massive, starting to really improve that CS lead. As time goes on, yeah, those items come in. That Hull Breaker eventually, too. That Alawi is going to be a split pushing menace. There we go. We're going to get that Dragon on that timer.
Top Prodigy able to secure it. Nocturne not level 6 yet, right? Pang just not able to have too much of an impact at this point in time. So Viego capitalizing on a stronger skirmisher in the early game, as you were highlighting for us earlier on.
That's right, and they recognize that timer really well, PSC. They actually were able to get that. At this point right now, it's not their bot side. They have to react to this wave, so there was no chance that they could have contested the Dragon. At this point right here, we're going to see another engage.
Pulverize. Ezreal, though, going to get condemned away from that engagement. But the Vayne and Rakan have consistently had to push in this bottom lane so far.
Yeah, they definitely have, and if you're able to get that push as that bot lane, that's extremely good. That should allow Slight Vigo and Rakan to be able to roll on for that multiple times. Look at the damage.
That's a bit landing another test of spirit there. Jax going down extremely low. No teleport at the moment for June. In a little bit of a difficult spot right now underneath this turret. Shelly going to be spawning in just about 10 seconds as well. Viego on the top side of the map, so it could be PS Elementary set up for their second straight neutral.
At this point right now, it could very well be. They're going to need to be able to catch this wave drought. I think that Ecliptic Gold on this Alistar's going to be able to come up there as well to be able to look for this. The level 6s are available now on the side of GEB. Of course, we do have that Paranoia, that Nocturne is hovering towards that top side. But yeah, the next real play is, of course, going to be Swift Herald. Submit has that pile.
Oh, low. Junaha desperately trying to farm up underneath this turret right now.
I don't know if they can do this.
Pressure. Nocturne thinking about taking this Alawi, but rarely is that a good idea. Quick to go to the bot lane. We'll find the double pulverize. True shot barrage connecting onto the Vayne. Silva down to about 50% on the retreat, but here comes the Aston. Looking for a little bit more. It's going to be the flash forward for Spanther, but not quite able to finish anybody off as Vayne and Rakan both need to get back underneath the tier 1. Nocturne thought better of that gank onto the Alawi. Wants to start up the Rift Arrow, but knows that that's a little bit too dangerous without the top priority. Hovering up towards this top side once again. Paranoia available can go in right as the Demolish proc is triggered. Knew that Alawi wanted to go for it. Will find the fear. The counter strike as well for the stun. The CC chain is good from the top side of Glacial Esports. They managed to punish Submit for going for that turret plate, and now maybe they can tie up this neutral count.
And that kill right there is all about timing, whether or not that stun, or excuse me, that fear itself is buffered by that Alawi R. And it wasn't. The chain CC came in from Junaha on that Jax. They layered it perfectly, netted that kill, and it could have been real scary, but they timed it perfectly. Got themselves on the board.
Absolutely. Big play there for Glacial Esports to make sure they're maintaining parity in this early game, not falling too far behind. The Rift Herald seems as a bridge too far at the moment. It's not going to be going for that one just yet, but still getting that extra gold and getting some footing for this Jax in this top lane. Very, very nice.
Yeah, very much so. That wave still right now, I think Submit has an opportunity to be able to freeze that too. So the wave state's pretty miserable for the Jax still at this point, but Pang on this Nocturne does have that first kill. Much like TF, it's all about your first ultimate with that champion. And they're able to net something off that. They get a kill. They're playing towards this Rift Herald, which it looks like it's going to go down at this point too. So they're looking pretty solid at this point here. They're more than happy to be able to keep going with this. That Alawi 100% is a problem, but this Nocturne should be as well. So
we do have our second dragon to consider in about 90 seconds. Remember, that was one thing that was changed on this patch, is the individual dragons offer less of a buff. The individual buffs have been nerfed. So, like the other dragons, should be less of a priority for these teams. Popeng wants to drop the Rift Herald in the top lane, and Alawi is saying, no, I would prefer you didn't. Nocturne is going to do it anyway, and I don't know if Shelly is going to be very happy about finding herself in combat with this very scary Tentacles lady. In fact, yeah, she is going to get stopped. The Gorge can get off the charge, and that's going to be another hit onto the eyeball, and Submit easily is going to foil that attempt.
I was scratching my head a little bit about that too. I was surprised that they wanted to put the resources into that Jax. It wouldn't at best. At this point, you're basically just going to be probably still 500, 600 behind this Alawi. So I'm a little surprised about that, but Submit just plays it so well, forces both of them off, basically almost kills Popeng with one E there. So just absorbing so much pressure for his team and doing a great job. That Rift Herald completely nullified from that play.
Yeah, just again, you know, Alawi getting ganked, it's literally her favorite thing. You know, she's got a Nocturne that's throwing Q at her and trying to walk at her and auto attack, and she's like, yes, please, doing that. That makes me very happy. Clearly, she was very comfortable in that situation and is just continuing to extend that CS lead in the top lane. Submit, I believe that was the R5 Alawi that did come in right as well, Turk. So the draft resources given over to this top laner as well. It's nice to see them performing in such a strong fashion.
Yeah, and at this point right now, all the gold difference, it's 1,000. It's basically on this Alawi at this point. Submit is quite going to be 1K ahead of his opponent. So the gold lead really... of course, it's not much. It's quite literally 1K at this point, but that gold lead really is coming from top side alone. So, and you can really see that taking effect there. That 1v2, the 50 CS lead at this point, one-on-one scoreline. Spanther, he's getting a bit more comfortable in this matchup now. That level 9 mark.
Rod of Ages completed, right, for the Kassadin, so he's got some HP now stacked up. It's not necessarily in danger of getting one shot by the Orianna combo at this point in the game. Has the mana advantage right now as well, as we can see. So Panther happy to go in for these trades at the moment. As Vayne and Rakan have had the advantage in the bot lane so far, but that might have been a bridge too far forward for the Sly Lego. As the mid lane Petazur is getting engaged on by the top Prodigy, but we'll be able to get back underneath the turret and just going on VTS right into the wall. True Shot Prodigy not pulling to land, just a little bit wide to the right there for Shima. Both mid lane and bot lane will be disengaged.
And really just trades coming in back and forth. That Mystic shot canceling that back is actually pretty big there. That's going to mess with Slide Lego's time a little bit. It actually forced him to stay here. Submit. Once that E lands, oh, you just know the game just coming in.
Pain and laning against Alawi.
Yep.
Anybody who's ever had to do that will understand.
Pretty much. And really no soul point win con at this moment either. We still do have a little bit of time before that third dragon is coming up. And we have one apiece, so.
Is a Hextech soul.
That's right.
Definitely worth noting.
100% it is. We can see top Prodigy sneaking into this bot side rush here. He hasn't been spotted yet to pop that sweeper, so he knows that too. Sly Lego is low. Very low. Okay, it'll be interesting.
Forward. The Alpha combo there, I believe, but the Condemn will get Ecliptic Bolt away from that engage range.
And both of these sidelines right now for GEB are just in such dire straits right now. You can see Popeng is coming down trying to salvage this.
Oh, that full rise down. Like, let's go. Finds a huge brain at the tomb. It will go down, but it was enough, I think, to secure the fight for Glacial Esports. For Rakan, with his dying breath, finds the necessary engagement. Ecliptic Bolt. The last survivor will not be able to survive for much longer, as that is a triple kill going over to Silva's Vayne, and a huge surge for Glacial Esports Black in this game.
It's a necessary surge. Why did you find that?
Oh, Submit has flash. He's going to use it, trying to get over the wall, but the flash follow for Junha, and is going to be able to get some redemption in the top lane as well. Glacial Esports across the map coming alive.
Oh, they sure are. And that's all off the back of Sly Lego. Like, to be completely honest with you, crewman, I kind of wrote them off there, but Sly Lego on his dying breath.
Wave in the mid lane, the turret goes down. Orianna can chase forward. We're panning over to the jungle. This fight's happening in multiple locations. Rakan will blast going away in the cast and will escape with the flash.
Yeah, and all this really is coming off the back of that bot-side play, able to salvage that play, of course, from Lego there. They're going to net that kill. Submit does get the first turret, of course, but Junha is going to answer with a solo kill right there. GEB is coming alive, as you mentioned. That mid-tier 1 is gone. Lots of things are happening really quickly here, and it's nice to see. Game's really starting to take off.
So that was, you know, previously we had a little bit of an advantage in PS Elementary, but the goal is dead even now. Okay, has real arcane shift back underneath the turret.
Oh, the TP bot side.
Kopang able to dodge away from that test of spirit, but can't dodge away from the Viego, and that's going to be the side of PS Elementary who's successful invade into the enemy jungle. Meanwhile, on the bot lane, Panther is here looking for the double wheel, be able to find it. And just as things were starting to look up for Glacial Esports, it's going to be PS Elementary putting a quick stop to it.
Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Things change so quickly. It really does. It really does stop on a dime. And I mean, you got to respect it. It's Panther. He's recognizing that winner he has that level 11. It's that TP in on an overextension there from Silva and Lego. They pick up a double kill for that caster. He's 2-0, 150 gold. Of course, you mentioned he has that rocket blade at the front of the back. He's got his spear almost stacked. Got some gold here. Very soon in the bank, he'll be able to get that second item. And that caster, he's becoming quite the menace himself.
Even the Dark Seal as well, right? Panther looking to be in a pretty good position at the moment. We continue scaling into this game. We do have a level 11 coming through for all of our solo laners.
We can see a lot of priorities being put on towards this bot side here from GE. Unfortunately, Submit does have this rift here. He's going to drop that top side. We're going to see it.
And as we're trying to shift underneath the turf, there's a Jax there just waiting for you. That's going to be the first kill of the fight inside of Glacial Esports. The Alistar has nowhere to go. Ecliptic Bolt's going to get run down here by the Nocturne and top project over the wall. But again, it's a member of Glacial Esports just waiting for him. It's going to be another kill. It's going to be an absolute massacre as Glacial Esports getting multiple picks in the bot. Oh my God, Submit's in the base. Oh, we're getting our second dragon and Submit's taking the Nexus. Guys, this is not a good trade. The dragon will go over to the inhibitor, will be traded. Shuttle cannot get the charge in the inhibitor turret. Submit now looking for the 1v2. There is the Alawi ultimate will come out, getting Kaidazur down to about 50%. The Hexgate will not be able to come through as the Jack counter strike gets the stun. Submit is not able to win out as the Jack's extremely strong with that Divine Thunder, just beats him down with the lamppost. And it will be, in the end, the trade of that second dragon just for the inhibitor.
Right, PSE didn't have much vision at all in that bot side river. And I don't think they expected all the members of GEB to be down there. And they end up getting basically just wiped. I think that's a 4-0 bot side. And Submit, while he does get that inhibitor, arguably it's not worth it. It's at 17.5 minute mark. You still have basically 2.5, 3 minutes of free farm before Baron's even up at this point right now. That means Junha, you start to get gold basically guaranteed. So it'll be interesting to see, like, at the end, I don't think it's do or die, but that's definitely some free resources for that Jax or whoever wants it in that lane. They're going to be able to get it off the back of a second dragon. And more importantly, it's going to be that Hex deck soul too, right? So souls are buffed as a whole. Could be a nice win con here for GEB. And if nothing is able to be punished there from that inhibitor being taken down, then that's just a net win for them.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Turk. You know, when we take these compositions into account, the fact that these team comps are so focused around scaling, right? I do think it is going to be really difficult for PS Elementary to actually capitalize on that advantage and push it any further, right? So, you know, when we look at it that way, Paranoid is going to come down, Top Prodigy flashing away, but still going to get feared up by the Nocturne and the follow-up engage. Beautiful from the Recons. The Viego cannot get away. Kopang finds number 3, 10-6 now on the scoreboard for Glacial Esports. And they're going to look to push down the mid lane.
And you can see, oh, here we go. Ecliptic Bolt almost in range.
Ooh.
Not quite, though.
He will land. Oriana get chunked down here a little bit.
Yep. And that damage rate there, that synergy from that support in the jungle, of course, that Nocturne and Recon, they have so much gap close, so much sticking potential there, and you can see it, but of course they do need those ultimates up and Submit. Just every time you see that, you just know nothing but pain. Nothing but pain.
You know, at least the Oriana has a little bit of movement speed with the dissonance, right? To try and dodge away from the tentacle slams. So you
can space pretty well too.
Pretty easily.
Yeah, get wave clear. So matching the Alawi as the Oriana might actually not be too bad. Could be a decent answer from them, and it looks like that's what they're trying to do too. Jax really just trying to avoid submit, but at this point, pay close attention. We take a look. Top laner Junha, he's level 14, to submit's level 13, so you can already see this is paying off. He's getting all that free XP from that inhibitor being taken down.
Yeah, absolutely right. And the Jax was behind for much of this game so far, right? And the fact that he does have all this additional golden experience to farm up means he's going to be a little bit more comfortable now in that 1v1, theoretically.
It's really hard right now for your PSE to be able to force anything off this. And Junha, he basically has his way frozen. He's just collecting, farming up as much as he can. Of course, he's still down CS, but that doesn't really matter at this point right now. It's 3-1. He's got that goal coming in. He's got that level advantage, which is so crucial too. So yeah, as things go on here, GEB's comp is just getting stronger and stronger. And sure, PSE's is as well. But again, I really think that it comes down to the execution. How well can Submit play this split push as well? There's lots of questions going on here.
Clear the wave. Dodge away from the Test of Spear as well. Submit going down very, very low. The movement speed from the Oriana should be enough here. And that is going to be the solo kill for Kite Azur in the bot lane 1v1 versus Submit. Alawi burning the flash there as well. And Kite Azur didn't even need it.
Ow. I'll be honest, I kept talking and I didn't think that was going to happen. I should have let you take over. That was a little unexpected. I think you could say the same for Submit. I don't think he expected it either. And you're right, he ended up burning the flash. It's so unfortunate.
We saw a very, very similar play actually at Worlds in the match between Wales and BDS, where Adam was on the Renekton and got solo killed by Oriana in the side lane. So maybe Kite Azur was watching. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe he was taking notes. Maybe he's making the notes, eh? Who knows? Who knows? But that was clean. I like that. Picks it up. That's a kill. Does save the turret in the process too there. So looks like that Oriana match up seems to be pretty well. Right now for GEB, it'll be interesting. Maybe PSC, you can look to kind of play around that. That Cassidy is level 14. I feel like by the time you're 16 on Cassidy, you shouldn't lose to that Oriana. I don't think of that split push at all. So I wouldn't be surprised if PSC starts to try to match that right there. And it kind of looks like they're doing that right now. But right now, 18 seconds on this Dragon. That's the next major neutral. Both teams aren't looking to play towards this Baron, even though GEB has good vision set up. But right now at this point, it's pretty safe to say if they group up, they have their ultimates synced up. They just need to be able to pull trigger and execute properly, and they can find windows. But Sly Lego is safe.
A little bit dangerous there, and yes, won't be pressing too far forward to knock up onto the cast, and the shockwave, the wobble combo, the burst damage. It's going to be Spantha going golden, trying to buy enough time, but the follow-up should be there. Let's get the command attack from the Oriana. It's looking to be Glacial Esports winning out in the team fights. They had control over the area. PS Elementary tried to force their way in, but it was met with destruction, absolute demolition at the hands of Glacial Esports. They get the 5-for-0 clean ace. They get the Dragon. They're going to get the Baron as well. Turk, they get everything here in game number 1.
Game number 1, yep. All the tempo right now is going to go to them, and probably for the next 5-6 minutes, maybe the rest of the game here at this point. But yep, they're going to grab that Dragon, puts them on soul point, they're going to grab that Baron, and that's really off the back of just good vision setup, the patience that they're able to wait. Sly Lago able to get into that backline once again, buy so much time for the rest of his team to be able to clean things up. And yeah, it's just off the back of PSE not having enough vision, being able to contest that. I'd say if I was them, you want to be able to push that midway first and then rotate into the big river brush as opposed to funneling into a choke point when you have things.
Overstayed a little bit here in the side lane. Have counter strike for the stun in the 1v3. Junha finds the kill. There's no way. The leap strike over the wall. He gets away from the Viego. The Heartbreaker won't quite find the target. Junha, he doesn't have a blast gun, but the leap strike is back off cooldown again. There's no way, dude. Jackson, the 1v3 gets the solo kill, gets out.
It's cracked. What the hell did we just watch? Absolutely insane. There's no way A should get a kill there. B live. How do you live?
Crazy, dude.
Oh, that stopwatch, perfect timing, the flash, everything available.
Oh, now Popeng has dodged away from the test of Spirit. Alawi's already down to 50%. The Nocturne is down a level. We won't be able to chase the Alawi any further at the moment, but still winning out in that trade in itself. Very impressive for the jungler of GEB. Bane tumbling forward now. Alawi down very low.
While all that happened bot side, top side right now, we can see Kite Azur pushing. Popeng's doing a great job of forcing top Prodigy off here, and PSC, really you are at this point just relegated to your base. The rest of GEB has scaled up. When they group up, they are stronger. When they have those ultimates, they can pull trigger. But right here, you can see it. His Spantha are able to get that damage. Look at the damage now, right?
The shockwave onto the Viego. Viego's only level 12 to Oriana's 16. It's going to be too much damage. Viego tries to flash away, still having the Nocturne maybe over chasing a little bit here. The shutdown is going to go over to Shima's Ezreal. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, Junaha once again looking for the 1v1 in the Jax. I think we know is strong enough to win these at this point in the game. As the dive forward, it's going to be PS Elementary trying to go for a counterattack, but they step forward a little bit too far, and they will be rebuked handily by Glacial Esports. So strong now at this point in the game. Kite Azure 406 on this Oriana, just untouchable.
In early game, you could see PSC, they had a lot of windows to make things happen, and they did. They did a great job, Submit getting multiple kills up towards that top side. Lots of things were happening in PSC's favor, but GEB's mid game is just pretty damn clean. It's hard to be able to deal with them, and it doesn't look like PSC right now has the proper answers to be able to mitigate that. But really, it does come down to that vision control, how well GEB is able to play around those neutral objectives. And as time goes on, once they're able to group up, they have those ultimates again, they have those CDs available. When they do, that 4-1 that they have is crazy strong. Juna, level 17, Submit's level 14. Like, look at that difference now. Like, complete insanity, and that really is off the back of that inhibitor going down as early as what it did. I truthfully believe that. So, at this point right now, it's difficult if you're PSC to figure out what you do here, but I'd say go back to the drawing board here for game number 2 and analyze the mid game. Just pay really close attention to what GEB did and what you guys didn't do with that vision control, and see if you can mimic that or do it better. And at this point right now, GEB, it really is their game to lose.
They're going on to the Alawi. Down here in the bot lane, it is going to be Submit in trouble. As Alawi is able to trade back onto the Nocturne. This is, again, her favorite place to be, is getting ganked. And now it's Submit's turn to flash over the wall and survive in the outnumbered scenario. These top laners really popping off in this game.
Yes, they are. Submit in that 1v2 kill and escapes. That's massive right now, but you can still see it. He can't duel that Jax, but sometimes he doesn't need to. If Popang shows up, get the kill on him. See you later. Thank you very much. And that's nice. We get that Hallbreaker now finished. Right, so we have that 3 items on Alawi. I don't know if it's too late.
It's really big, but now the Counter-Strike's going to find Top Project. He has the Heartbreaker to get over the wall. He jump forward for Junha. Wants to finish off that kill. Can't quite do it as the Viego escapes into the Hallowed Mist. And now the Touch Spirit has connected. Jax can be slowed up a little bit on the retreat, but should still be able to get away. We are 30 seconds out now, Turk, on this potential Hex Tech. So for Glacial Esports, for PS Elementary, they quickly need to clear these waves, find a way to get back out onto the map. I don't think you can win against Hex Tech Soul.
I don't think either. And at this point right now, if you're PSC, I mean, it's tricky. Really hard to say. Looks like they're just going to elect to concede it. Maybe they will TP with that Kassadin. But you really do need to have that mid push. You can't walk through your jungle. It doesn't belong to you at this point right now. You need to walk through these waves.
It's just too hard. Top Project just wanted the wolves, but that might be too much to ask for, as the Viego just barely with the Spectrum Wall dodges away from that last command attack. But with the jungler out of the picture, this will be certainly the Hex Tech Soul going over.
100% it is. And yeah, you could talk about what PSC needs to try to do, but it really is just a proper map setup from GEB. And if you play things properly with the proper timings that they have, look at this vision control that they're setting up, right? They walk with this top wave. They start to get that priority. That support and mid can walk together. Of course, you're pretty safe on that recon, so you're able to do this stuff. And then you can begin to set up. You already have the 2 inhibs down. You just look to crack that 3rd inhib, take the game over, and it's just clean league that we expect to see from GEB.
Yeah. Absolutely, this first game has been pretty clinical from them. You know, even with Riot doing their best to try and nerf the snowballing of games on this patch, you know, that has not dissuaded Glacial Esports from snowballing this one very, very effectively. Are now looking for their last inhibitor and to close this first game out. You know, with the scaling composition, they're so far ahead this early on. The Paranoia will be cast now to put on the pressure with 5 men strong. PS Elementary will be able to hold their own underneath this top lane inhibitor turret for now.
PSE's comp really does feel bad when you fall behind. You really have no wave clear at this point right now too, so you can kind of see that really starting to take hold. Of course, at this point 2 inhibs are already down, but it's so evidently there when you see 5 members or 4 members of GEB head up topside and nobody can contest that wave that's being pushed in and it's not even baroned.
Yeah, Absolutely. It's feeling really desperate at this point. They do have level 16 on the Kassadin. They do have level 16 on the Alawi as well. They can be strong here. They are going to find Jax isolated right now in the sideline. But Junaha, we've seen the Jax in this position before. The CC will come down to top project. Heartbreaker over the wall, but the Ignite, the damage over time from the Leandres will be enough to secure that kill. Panther in the pit. The Kassadin doesn't have a smite. He's just trying to kill the jungler. He's looking for a miracle, but he won't be able to find it. He will find only his own demise as the kills go over. The objective goes over, and the Nexus surely will soon go over to Glacial Esports Black in game number 1.
And we have that TP here from the Jax. Don't be surprised if we see that coming in any second. There it is right there. And GEB should be able to kind of walk this in here. Close it out.
Counter-Strike is good. Alistar running out of HP. That's going to be the knock from the Grand Entrance as well. And Unbreakable Will is not unbreakable enough. False advertising on that one as Real Arcane shift back onto the fountain, just trying to stay alive. But the Nexus turrets cannot run away. And in 30 minutes and 30 seconds, it will be Glacial Esports Black destroying the first Nexus.
Yeah, destroying is a bit of an understatement, isn't it? They just, once things really started to click, it just kind of came online there. And it's pretty impressive to see, I gotta say. Solid scoreline there coming in from Junaha, especially on that Jax when he was put so far down, like early on. At one point, he's down like 50, 60 CS. So to be able to see them come back is awesome. I think the one thing I really want to highlight between that game 1, you could really see it early on. PSE could go toe-to-toe with GEB, but when it came down to setting up for neutral objectives, things like that, you could just see that GEB was on a bit of another level. They were kind of able to just control the pace of the game, even from a neutral map state pretty early on. And I think it's really off the back of PSE not being able to have the proper draft for any wave clear. Like at that point, GEB can kind of just group up as 4 or 5, right? Their four man is so strong. They can push that mid wave. They can push that bot wave. They have no contest because who's going to clear the wave, right? You have a Kassadin, you have a Viego, you have an Alawi and an Ezreal. You can't do anything about it. So anytime that GEB pushes those waves, they walk in, get the vision set up on all of the river and the neutral objectives, get the pinks down, and then if you're PSE, you're forced to face check. Blind, you have no vision at all, and before you know it, there's a recon on your backline and you're dead. So GEB just did a really good job of roaming together, playing off their ultimates, setting up the vision, and then finding the proper plays through essentially macro and especially macro. So kudos to them.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it is really important to remember, Turk, the fact that PS Elementary were winning in the early portions of this game, right? They had advantages in both side lanes. They looked like they were going to be in a really strong position here with the Kassadin continuing to scale up. But I think it really did. The big turning point, I absolutely agree, is when that inhibitor went down. Because before that point, Junha was, as you said, Turk, so far behind on this Jax. And that fact makes, the end of game stats here even more impressive. It's Junha on top of those damage charts, right? It's Junha with the most gold, at 8 and 1 and 2, highest KD, well, not quite highest KDA actually, as Kaitazor never actually died in that first game. But still, a massive turnaround for the Jax. And, it's like we have to commiserate because, you're right, obviously, about the fact that the composition for PS Elementary was lacking wave clear. In hindsight, there were some glaring weaknesses here that did end up getting exploited, but they were in a position, and it was just sort of this minor macro mistake that normally you wouldn't even consider, that in this case was so consequential in swinging the game into the complete opposite direction.
It's funny how it worked, right? Because whenever you have a weak side or a strong side, obviously with that strong side, you want to get an advantage. And they did actually, but funny enough, that advantage actually ended up being a disadvantage, right? That Alawi taking that inhibitor. But it's just something you didn't expect to see. Like GEB actually sacked top lane completely. They just ran away from it. They didn't care. They just ran straight mid. They got that push, and then they walked into bot side. And at that point, they had all the vision control in that river. They just set up, and they found like 4 picks in a row. It's just something that you wouldn't expect to see. Like PSE, you would think that 1, 2, or if not 2, 3 people would be rotating to deal with that Alawi, that split push. That Rift Herald was dropped there, right? So you're like, okay, they should be dealing with that, but of course there's no vision in the river. They don't have that wave clear where they could contest on that, so of course the vision isn't coming in, which means they're walking in blind. They get all picked. 4 people go down. The Jax gets a bunch of free farm for the next 4.5, 5 minutes, whatever it might be, and I think the rest is history.
Yeah, and I mean, getting all that bot side control got them the dragons as well. And, while the individual dragons may be weaker, getting that soul is still a win condition. That's exactly what we saw. But we're going to get into a short break in just a moment here, Turk, before we jump into our second champion select phase. I do want to get a POG vote from you, though, before we do. It's a little bit contested here. Kaitazur, again,
Yeah.
deathless on the Orianna. But Junha, having
Ah,
such a fantastic comeback in this game as well, and did end up, of course, as I mentioned earlier, on top of those damage charts. What do you think?
yeah. I feel like I gotta pick, like, it's like that age-old like question, like, who's your favorite kid?
Yeah.
It's like I don't want
It's,
to make me pick.
it's a tough one. It's a tough one, but everybody has a favorite, right?
Oh yeah, everybody's got a favorite. I'm the favorite. I'm the favorite too.
Of course you
I'll
are,
let,
Turk.
I'll, I'll let my I'll
You're
let my
my
brother know.
favorite.
I'll let my brother know that one. See what he says. I think I'm gonna be a little biased. I'm gonna give it to Slight Lego. I think he did a really good job in that recon. He's able to make a lot of plays happen. I think especially early on there when he did have that 6. At one point he was like 150 health, and they needed to save that bot lane. He ended up being able to pull trigger, get that R off, and get a double knockup right before he ends up going down. Nocturne, that Popang, he's able to collapse, make the things happen, and they end up just going 3-for-1 down bot side. And I feel like that was a big morale boost. But the rest of the time, he ended up spending roaming with Kaitazura when they had the windows, or Popang, setting up all the vision control that we saw that I was talking about for basically the whole game. So I think the unsung hero, and of course you see some nice micro plays from him too, but really the unsung hero, all the vision control that he had, I'll give it to Slight Lego for game number 1.
Yeah. Good shout, Turk. It was a phenomenal performance on the Recon as well. And remember, it was I believe it was B1 Recon also that did
Yeah,
come
it
through. Yes,
was.
it was.
Yeah,
So,
good call, good
you know,
call. Yes, it
uh,
was.
just, sort of sacking yourself in the draft, go for that Recon blind pick and still having such a
Yeah.
great performance, I think is absolutely worth shouting out. So, we're going to go ahead and get into that break, guys. When we come back, game 2, don't miss it.
See you soon.
All right, everybody, welcome back. We are just now dropping into our Game 2 Champion Select. After losing Game 1, PS Elementary have elected to remain on the red side and hang on to that counter pick. Turk, what do you make of it?
Yeah, obviously they really value that counter pick, probably going towards that top side again. And it paid off really well for them early on too. So yeah, obviously they believe that when it comes down to it, draft was not, excuse me, the game itself wasn't the issue. They could just rely on this draft here. They feel like at the end of the day, if they play their game, they're going to be a-okay. And looks like GEB right out of the gate's going to ban that Nautilus. I don't know if they banned that. They banned the Rel last time. So the Rel was banned, and I feel like that's just going to end up swapping out. But that Vladimir and that Lee Sin, don't be surprised to see that. I think the big thing for me is whether or not PSE ends up banning that Rakan.
Definitely, because as we mentioned before the break, it was the B1 selection for Glacial Esports. So you have to imagine that if it doesn't get banned away, it will likely come through on that first pick once again. Expecting the Lee Sin here from Glacial Esports. Any other draft adaptations you think we should be keeping our eyes out for? Are we expecting to see something like the Caston again, or maybe something a little bit more aggressive in the mid lane? What are we thinking over there?
I hope to see something a bit more aggressive with more agency, something that you can probably just get that wave push and then roam with your jungler. GEB, they do still have the option. They can grab that Rakan because it still is up, but they also do have. Damn, they beat me to it. Beat me to it. I was gonna say the Jinx, I swear. They do have the option for the Jinx, so they're gonna bust it out here. Game 1 was left open, wasn't taken. Well, you're right. No, it was banned. It was banned. You're right.
Banned in the first round of bans in Game 1.
That's right. And this time it ends up squeaking through. So the Jinx 100% makes sense to me. That is a Silva champion through and through.
We could take the Xayah Rakan here.
Yep.
In response, but no, it looks like we prioritized that Viego pick. It was R1 in the previous game as well, so this must be some extreme comfort for Top Prodigy.
That's exactly what it is. And honestly, it doesn't surprise me too much. Just take a quick look at his OP.GG too, and you could recognize that, yeah, when it comes down to comfort, 100%, it's going to be that Viego. And we're going to get that Xayah, it looks like. At the end of the day, it'll be interesting
to get picked away here.
Exactly. We'll see whether or not GEB decides to grab that Rakan. I wouldn't be surprised if they did. They did also ban the Nautilus, which tends to be a pretty good matchup into the Rakan, so
true.
I think on that B2, B3, that could very well be the answer. If not, of course, you can expect PSE to grab that more than likely. So at this point right now, when you look at that ADC matchup, Jinx 100% will outscale. There's no question about it. So we're going to get that Rakan too, kind of help with that scaling as well. We'll see what PSE decides to do here for this R3. Do they look for that support counter pick, quote unquote, or do they prioritize maybe a solo lane?
There are still some options that PSE could go for. The Rel, of course, not banned in this game, could be an option. The Alistar still available as well. The Leona has been known to be pretty good into the Rakan also.
Yes.
So we'll see. I think PS Elementary are not out of options just yet. Glacial Esports, likely jungler here into the Viego. Was, of course, the Nocturne in the previous game, banned away this time around. So we'll have to see something different for Popang and
Look at the Briar.
Wowee.
Okay, that is fun. I do know that GEB plays Briar. I think they played this at least a few times at this point right here. R3 Aatrox, interesting.
I believe this is my first Briar cast.
So this is mine.
Ability names yet?
I don't know the ability names either. I can't keep up with this game anymore, man. I try and I just can't. So hey, sometimes I'll just take my little white flag and I'll just wave it. Like I'll just give up, right?
Earlier, you're an ARAM gamer these days.
I am an ARAM gamer.
Haven't rolled Briar yet. Is understandable.
Just wait. Give me a little bit of time. She's a fun champ, man. If she gets going, she gets going. She gets so strong, so fast, snowballs so quickly. Early game, you do have windows to punish her, though. I do know that if you're able to get any sort of advantage on her early on, that's when you want to be able to do it. If not, I think things are just going to be a little tricky for you. I don't quite know all the counters into the Briar yet myself, to be honest with you, so it'll be interesting to see what PSE decides to do. R4 probably going to be... Actually, I don't know. Is it going to be a support pick? Because they R3 the Aatrox. They might just save the counter pick for mid. I don't know, crewman. I don't know.
I feel like that would probably make the most sense. The Gragas could be picked.
Interesting.
And that would be a flexible option, right? That could go, into either mid or support roles, theoretically. So, that's one way to go about it.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. Could be mid, could be support. I don't think the Aatrox would ever go mid. Doesn't make any sense in my little brain here, so...
I mean, he could.
Maybe. maybe.
It's
I don't know.
conceivably possible. I don't know if I would love that into the Syndra. That seems maybe a little bit difficult for the Aatrox, in that sort of situation.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not sure
My
if I love the Gragas Zaya pairing either.
Yeah. I'm not sure I do either. To me, it seems like they're saving R5 for support. That's my guess on PSE's side, but that much I'm a little surprised about, I'll be honest.
Could be getting some spice here on R5 Turk. With
Yeah,
a draft that's looking, I wouldn't be surprised if we see something a little bit off the wall here.
off the rocker. Okay, we're gonna get one champ that's a little off. We got two really. We got Briar and Fiora now.
Okay, this is pretty aggressive composition from Glacial Esports. I would say, their last composition was relatively aggressive as well, but I would
Mhm.
say, this one's even maybe even a little bit more dive focused than the previous one.
Ooh, we're
Ari
gonna
will
get the
be the
Ari.
off-road
So
option.
I mean that's a Gragas support, right?
That is going to mean Gragas support. Yes, Ari into the Syndra.
Hmm.
Relatively classic matchup there. I believe that's a little bit more Ari favored early on.
Into the Syndra itself.
Yeah.
I believe that's a bit of a skill matchup if I'm not mistaken. As time goes on,
Fair
that
enough.
Syndra
Yeah.
will be able to one shot that Ari, but really it's about the pick potential that you have. That 2v2 with the Ari and the Viego should be more impactful than that Briar Syndra 2v2, especially early on.
Mm,
It'll be interesting to see how that plays out as a whole. Like both compositions seem pretty good to me, but one really seems to stick out. Like GEB's comp to me makes a lot more sense. Again, when you group up as 4 members from GEB, you have a lot of windows. You have that Jinx, you have that Rakan, you have that Briar, and that Syndra. To me, it seems like you're able to force a lot of plays. You have a lot of CC to be able to follow up on those plays, and then hopefully enough damage. Once you get one kill, you get a reset. You can accelerate. While PSE, I look at them, and I like the Viego pick because Viego's really strong when it comes to early. The skirmishing is good. You have the Xayah too. The Xayah is really good into any sort of dive. So when it comes to Briar, when it comes to Syndra doesn't really have dive, but of course you can still kind of alt that Syndra alt, but into the Rakan as well. The Xayah is nice, but not a lot of cohesion when it comes to that phase 2. I don't really know if I like the Gragas pick. The Gragas into the Rakan is something that I do know of. It wouldn't be my first go-to, so we'll see how that really kind of plays out.
yeah.
As a whole, it makes sense as a bit of a counter, but I don't see a lot of cohesion on the side of PSE either here. I do like their 2v2 mid though, especially. So I feel like if they're able to get some advantages there, they can move into side lanes and make some impact. So that much I really do like. But the big wild card for me right now is going to be that Gragas support. See how that ends up playing out here, crewman.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. The one thing that I will say about the Gragas support at least is it does offer them some additional disengage, right?
Yep.
Against a dive composition like
Yeah,
this.
that's true.
The
Yeah.
Gragas, if played in that way, can be very valuable. And dissuade, like if Briar is going in with the R and you
Yep.
drop the cask behind her, so then the Briar is isolated, you can maybe burst her down, things like this, just for example. So we'll see. Again, it depends on how the Gragas actually ends up getting played out. How these team fights actually end up looking. But I could see some angles where the Gragas could provide some nice value here for the PS Elementary draft. But what I mean, it feels somewhat similar to what we had in game number 1. Maybe we can say that there's a little bit more early playmaking this time around with what PS Elementary have put together.
Yeah, I
What do
agree
you
with
think?
that for sure. I think the major thing right now is PSE does have some wave clear. Of course, they have that Ari and they have that Xayah.
Mm.
So that at least allows them to get those windows where they can contest those waves. They can get that push and they can actually start to set up for neutral objectives. So I really like that. Again, I mentioned it once, I think maybe 2 times at this point, but that 2v2, that Ari Viego is really strong. So I like to see that a lot. If they can get some advantages going on early on, then they could really start to swing that, impact the rest of the side lanes. And we know that the side lanes for PSE did really good game 1. There's a lot of angles that they had. Solo kills coming in back and forth, right,
Yeah.
from both sides. As time went on, GEB really started to get things set up. Their comp really started to roll, and they had those ultimates, sync them well, set things up properly. At this point right now, it's kind of funny. They've basically taken the Nocturne, banned that, and then swapped that out for Briar, which almost is the same thing if you think about both of their ultimates.
Fair
So,
enough.
so it really is just another dive comp essentially here. They do have
Yeah.
that split push win con with that Fiora, and that Syndra is kind of just playing that gatekeeper, really kind of keeping that Jinx alive there. So they have like a nice pseudo front to back, no tank in this case here for GEB, but they do have that dive between the Rakan and the Briar. They can set things up nicely. So again, I see that cohesion in their team comp. I like it from GEB, and of course they're going to get that Jinx. I think that Jinx is a crazy good pick right now. I think
Yeah.
everybody else thinks that too. So just, yeah, in that ADC matchup alone, you know that the scaling is going to come out. From Syndra, I believe that the Syndra has a scaling on the RE. Again, it could be a bit of a skill matchup. Maybe both mids are just like, no, Dirk, you have no idea. But like, I think at the end of the day, it really comes down to how well the junglers can play off of each other there around that mid lane, because a lot of the focus should be put there. And then, yeah, whoever wins that mid lane or gets those pushes at the right time with the wards that they're able to set up, hopefully, maybe get some picks, find some angles like that. But yeah, really it is. I do believe it's about that 2v2 mid.
Yeah, absolutely. A 2v2 mid going to be important to keep track of. And the B1 Jinx as well, right? Going to be a pick to watch for sure in this one. Now, for the most part, I think we can say Glacial Esports sticking with what worked, right?
Yep.
Similar style of
Agreed.
competition.
For
Seeing if
sure.
they can run back something similar and find the same level of success. And what did end up being a pretty one-sided game number one, right? In their favor. And on the other side, you know, some pivots have come through. Some more wave clear was a major complaint that we had previously. That it seems to have been rectified a little bit. But Turk, do you think it's going to be enough to get them on the board tonight and bring us to that game number 3?
Well, we know that the laners can go toe to toe on both sides, GEB and PSE. They're more than happy to trade blows, take solo kills from each other. So I really do think it's going to be around those neutral objectives. Who's able to get the vision set up, get the priority in those lanes. And again, yeah, we both highlighted they do have some half decent wave clear at this point. Believe that they're able to contest those waves. So if PSE plays properly, they're able to start getting that vision set up. Then I think that they have a good chance of being able to fight them there. Their front to back isn't
Right.
too bad at all. They have nice windows to be able to find picks. So I guess, yeah, time will tell.
Absolutely, Turk. Mid jungle may be enough. We'll
Mid
see right after
jungle.
this.
See you soon.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the VTS. Same sides here as game number 1. Glacial Esports black on the blue, PS Elementary on the red. Looking like a little bit of a different level 1, though, as the 3-man for PS Elementary. The top side stacking in the
Ooh.
River Brush. Don't believe they've been spotted just yet, but the
No.
Spidey sentences for Junha are tingling.
Yeah, he doesn't walk up here, does he? Got a nice skin though. I like
Don't
that viewer
think
skin.
he will.
Pretty neat. I don't think he will either. Yep. Same sides, definitely some different shenanigans here. Maybe looking to bait here.
Yeah, Submit is trying to look tasty. That vital in the perfect position for you, right?
Mm.
You know you want to hit that vital, right?
You know you want it.
It's right there.
Oh, they might take the bait
Oh
here
no!
after
Oh,
all.
they're committed so hard to this. Junha will end up walking up in the end.
Oh, the
The
charm
lunge
misses.
away to try to create some space, holding on to the flash for now. Viego does not have the W, can't
They
go for
can't
the
kill here.
stun here. And Popang waiting in the wings. This is a deep chase now from the side of PS Elementary. Will they be punished?
Hey.
Here over the wall. Briar starting on the Wolves, looking to get that fast level 2, but the blue buff may go over in the meantime. Top Prodigy looking to smite this one away. Viego should have it, does get it. Level 2 for Top Prodigy. And that is going to be a successful level 1 from PSE.
It sure is. Popang will get that level 2 off the back of that, able to just pick up those wolves right there. Seemed like a bit of an overchase, and unfortunate too. It just looked like that charm barely went wide, but unfortunately it did. Sly Lego going to land this knockup. The Glacial is going to allow a couple more autos.
Silva with a lethal tempo as well, able to get out some good damage here, even at level 1.
Yeah, when that damage starts to come in, it doesn't stop. And look at this.
Oh, Top Prodigy is chased out of their own jungle now, but the flash for the charm, the flash away from Popang, but can't get away from the stun as the double flash is committed from that power mid jungle of PSE, and they capitalize big time
Yeah, Bang looking to return the favor there, trying to get that solo kill. It almost does on top Prodigy there, but yeah, unfortunately the Berserk ends up making him tank 2 extra turret shots. A beautiful flash coming in from Spanther, helping net that kill, and then Prodigy with that follow-up flash too. It's just gorgeous play, and that's first blood.
Yeah, I admit my level of sympathy for Briar players a little bit low still, but as a jungler, I can relate all too well. You know, you feel disrespected. The enemy jungler just walking in like that at level 1, taking your buff. You want to get revenge. You want to make him pay for the audacity of thinking that he can take advantage of your camps like that. But in the end, Popang was a little bit too aggressive. You know, he pushed a little bit too deep. He dug too deep. He awoke, you know, what should have been left to rest, and pays for it.
He sure does, and Submit looks like getting the best right here, Juna.
Wow, looking to pay as well. Flash away actually will come out from Submit as the riposte was well timed from the Fiora.
Well timed. Seemed like a bit of a misplay there. I think there might have been a window to find that kill on that Fiora, but yeah, ultimately the flash will be burned there from Submit. Crucially though, that wave does crash, so at this point right now he should be pretty safe. Just to be able to reset there if he wants to burn that TP, he can. Juna looking to stop him though. Nope, not today.
Submit choosing the right brush to recall in.
That's right, and that slow push will begin to build up for Juna around that Fiora, so eventually that wave will need to crash. He recognizes that too, so they're going to take those back timers. Buy at the same time here, get that reset. And here we go, both TPs, top laners are back up there, and people should leave them alone for the next 4 or 5 minutes. Wait for the TP to be up again.
Oh yeah, top lane gaming, baby.
Top lane gaming.
Right, Azure gonna find a little bit of a trade here. Does take an Orb of Deception, both halves of it. Eats the charm as well, but here comes the jungler. Level 3 still in the Briar, but might be enough as the stun will land, and Spanther doesn't have the flash. That's gonna be a kill, and now it's the mid jungle of Glacial Esports fighting back in this early game.
Yeah, a bit of an unfair fight there. Azure and Spanther looking for that 1v1. Sly Lego. Oh, the flash coming out.
Flash that was used by the Gragas. The body slam won't connect. Maybe if you had the flash, could have landed it. Just saying.
Yeah, the flash just came a little bit behind. Had the flash have come out more aggressively forwards, could have been a decent window there to keep following up. But yeah, a couple flashes being burned there from both side laners, and unfortunately nothing coming of it. But just a good answer there from Popang and Kite Azure there, netting that kill on Spanther. Obviously recognizing no flash was up, so it's a good heads up play there.
Yeah. Jinx Rakan. Once again, and this is similar to what we saw in the previous game, right? The bot lane of Glacial Esports consistently getting the push through these early minutes, but they do have to be careful. As top Prodigy on the bot side of the map, Sly Lego going in for the knock-up, able to get away with the battle dance, with the stun. Will it land? Oh, that's going to be
Ignite.
Prodigy thinking better of it.
Yeah, that Ignite comes down and ends up scaring Prodigy away enough. And unfortunately there for Shima, the root just didn't connect on Sly Lego, and had it have, I feel like the body slam could have followed up. Maybe a kill there, but alas, it wasn't meant to be, and
Briar still level 4. Gonna look for this play though. Aatrox is not level 6 yet either. The stun will land. The pullback onto the Fiora is not enough for Submit to get that kill in return. And the 2v1 play, the gank successful for Popang in top lane.
Yeah, Popang making that move, just finding another play there. That's 2-1 right now. And at this point, early on, you weren't sure how that Briar was going to end up working out, but back-to-back ganks end up working out. Nets himself 2 kills off that. And this is a good play. I like to see this. We're getting some response here. That dragon is going to go down. Much like game 1, that first dragon is going to go to PSE. So I'm going to almost see if that's something that they're able to play towards.
Good scatter lands. The unleashed power, not a possibility just yet. Still level 5 for the Syndra, and Spanther's going to be able to walk it out. That looked pretty scary, though.
Yes, it did. When those level 6s come in, of course, you need to get the heck out of there. And one thing we didn't get a chance to talk too much about, Spanther actually did end up going Ignite. Doesn't have that TP, so yes, a bit of the tempo, especially right now in this lane phase, 100%. If you're able to get those item breaks, then Kite Azure on that Syndra is going to have that advantage. But especially come mid to late game, that TP is going to be crucial. So we'll see how GB plays around that advantage.
And, you know, going for that option with the Summoner spell and still being able to have such a strong laning phase is definitely advantageous, as Popang is going to get stunned up by the Spectrum Maw. Level up for the Briar in this particular engagement. Diego winning out very much in terms of the health bar. The damage reduction finally going to come through, but the stun will land. The scatter over the wall gets onto 2, but it's not enough as the barrel will explode. Briar takes a drink. It ended up being a little bit too much for her. He's pretty small after all. Now the BAC not working in her favor, and that's going to be another kill. Over to PS Elementary, another invade into that top side jungle, but the bot lane, though, continues to go in favor of Glacial Esports, as the Grogs, of course, did make that roam to make the play happen, and Shima suffering as a result.
Yeah, Shima's suffering. He doesn't miss the wave, though, crucially. He still gets the XP, still gets the CS. We actually have Spanther roaming down bot side, too.
Ooh.
Yeah, members of PSE everywhere. Beautiful charm.
He's going to go in, find the charm, the double knockup from the grand entrance. Those Sligo flashing away, but the flash follow for Spanther will be able to secure the kill. It's going to be Silva desperately trying to trade one back. Will be able to take down her spurned lover, but Ari will be able to secure the double kill. It's going to be PSE in the bottom lane. Juna now
still here
with the challenge, trying to trade back onto the Aatrox. Can she get the last vital proc? The riposte, it's not enough. And it's going to be PS Elementary now winning out across the map.
That's right. We're going to see Spanther roaming bot side, able to find that double kill. Crucially, Silva does get one an answer, but you're paying attention to Kaitazur. What is he able to get off this? And right now, it's only one plate. So that's a response right there from GEB. While PSC, they're going to net another kill off Ecliptic Bolt, basically staying topside for 2-3 minutes. Damage coming in.
Oh, yeah. Spanther should be all right here.
Oh.
Walk that one out.
Yay. See you later. But yeah, nothing
fun.
really going to happen from that. Maybe a bit more bot side turret pressure, but this Rift Herald is going to drop at this point right now, and that's nice for PSC. You have top Prodigy heading in towards those top side, going to be able to clear out those camps. If he's lucky enough, he might be able to head towards his bot side quadrant and deny some more XP and some gold from Popang and really keep that tempo.
Yeah. These teams are looking pretty even for now. It's been punches and counter punches that we've seen so far. Both teams.
You see what I see right now, crewman? Another gang.
Thinking top lane is what I'm seeing. Is Junha trying to walk this one out? I believe still holding on to the riposte. Might not have it. Actually, does use it now. Gets the stun underneath the turret. Well timed once again from the Fiora.
Yeah, it's a bit unfortunately taking 3 turret shots. Spanther, nice dodge.
Not going to connect. Panther is going to step on the Flame Chompers, but the follow-up will not be there. The minion wave not big enough. The numbers not there for GEB. They will back away for now.
It will, and at this point, nothing crazy happening. Kaitazur, that damage.
Oh, yeah, this Syndra. I do feel like Syndra is a pick that... Oh, Junha in trouble. Gets pulled back. The riposte is not going to be good enough this time around. I don't think, as Viego does get the reset. It's going to be the Fiora body taking over. Popang now can't quite get the last bit of damage out of top. Prodigy carries through the 2v2. Is Viego the difference maker in this second game?
The ult. Oh, it just missed.
The Death Rocket just barely going wide there. Silva was looking for the cross map snipe. Kaitazur now in trouble. Trying to kite this one out. Does land the scatter onto the Xayah. Has a blast cone. Will be able to get away. Nicely played from the Syndra in a difficult situation.
So much topside priority being put on. And top Prodigy is going to be the net beneficiary of that. He's going to get 4 kills. All said and done. 400 gold bounty. He's looking great. But again, crucially, GEB is going to net that first turret down bot side. So all that tempo, all that prio being put towards topside for PSE will be answered, will be responded to, and GEB looks like their first move on this dragon here set up again too. So what does PSE decide to do with this Rift Herald?
That's going to be an interesting question. You know, the dragon, as you say, coming up right now, so this would be a decent time to try and get some extra priority perhaps in this mid lane. You know, they have not been able to secure even a single turret plate thus far in this game. So despite being able to get 7 kills and oh, the explosive cast going to come out here. There's a little bit of separation onto the Rakan, but he should be slippery enough to get away. Junha is going to get pulled back by the chains, but it's not going to matter just yet. Even dashing forward with the lunge is Popang potentially caught out, flashing away from the Spectrum. Still going to get by the charm, though. The Briar is going to get burst down at the start of this one. Almost takes the Ari with her, but not quite able to do so, as now Kaitazur on the run. Sly Lego going to get flash, body slammed. The Heartbreaker coming out as well. The Rakan gets taken down. The Unleashed Power, not enough to take out the Gragas in return. The stolen Rakan, the Heartbreaker, and that is going to be a broken heart indeed for Silva, as the triple kill goes over to the Prodigy of top lane, and it's going to be PS Elementary looking to run away with a second game.
Prodigy. His Viego looked good game 1. Don't get me wrong. I don't think it was nearly as impactful as this game. Though. You can really see. We're close. Is he doing it?
Flash over the wall, top Prodigy. I think he might have this one. The flash away. The Heartbreaker not quite going to land, but the Spectrum almost certainly will. The Viego just racking him up now.
Yes, he is. He is on vision here. Is pretty safe, though. He needs to be a little careful, I think. Beautiful buffer, though.
So much damage onto the Rakan. Does manage to get away, though. Sly Lego. Oh, got to get away. Don't want to give the Viego another reset. Top Prodigy. Oh, that was pretty close, but the shutdown will go over and onto the Briar.
In another universe, I think that stun hits, and who knows what happens there. Who knows? That crucially, though, that is 1,000 gold going over to Briar. Popang is more than happy to grab that, and that's necessary, but Top Prodigy, he is on a tear right now. He had a lot of gold there to spend, too, so got his Kraken all finished up at this point. He's got that Kindle Gem and that Sheen. He's working on his second item here.
Even after the maxed out shutdown, Popang's still 1,000 gold behind individually in that jungle matchup. And that should tell you all you need to know about how far ahead Top Prodigy was and is in this game.
If we zoom out really quickly, though, we take a look at the whole macro of this game, we actually see GB up about 1k gold. All said and done. So while we can highlight that jungle matchup, that 1v1, across the board right now, you can see it's a really, really close game.
Absolutely. The invade into the top side will come through once again from PS Elementary as Panther in the bush will find the charm on the Rakan, but he is Rakan. The Spirit Rush going to be forced out now, but the Ahri's going to get CC'd and taken down, and the invade may have been a bridge too far. Sly Lego's going to flash away. The resets cannot come through this time for Top Prodigy. He's going to get shut down again as the double kill goes over to Popang.
I really like what Spanther was trying to do there.
Oh, the knock up. Sly Lego finds the engage, the scatter for the follow-up. The Gragas can get, not quite taken down by the unleashed power. The big man manages to body slam his way out of that. Oh,
Metal Gear Solid.
Now.
Yeah. Snake.
Major, I see a 2023 champion in the other bush. I don't know if I'll be able to survive if they find me.
Yeah, smart by Ecliptic Bolt there. He was able to dash over and take a reset in that Baron Pit there. So that's nice. But, crucially, Spanther, I like what he's trying to do. The only unfortunate thing is you don't have mid-prio, you don't have top-prio, you don't have those waves pushed in. So, they're skipping steps. They push that wave, and then they look to set up for that vision. You also don't have Sweeper at that point, too. Now, you weren't spotted at that point in time, but I think it's really good to be able to have that Sweeper. Then you know decisively for sure what's going on at that point. But, yeah, crucially, those waves need to be pushed before. I feel like you should be looking for those plays.
Yeah, a little bit overeager, perhaps. PS Elementary, they find themselves in a winning position in a must-win game, right? To keep themselves in the match and maybe just getting a little bit too excited with their lead. Need to make sure that they can dial it back and play this out by the book in order to make good on this advantage. We do see Popang onto the second Rift Herald, so surely likely going to be taken by Glacial Esports as top priority very much in their favor. As Juna going for the grand challenge underneath the turret, take 2 or 3 turret shots there, and Submit will be able to get away. The Briar ultimate, will it connect? Oh, so close there. Sly Lego also hunting on this. The super death rocket from the Jinx. All of these global ultimates just when Submit thought he was safe. That's another one flying out from the downtown, the central district of the city. It's going to be Silva making good on it.
Oh, he sure is. Yeah, you can dodge one, but you can't dodge them all, can you?
Oh, Sly Lego going in now. Explosive cast not quite going to have the desired effect.
Yeah, not quite at all there. And Briar.
Briar now. Gonna go in, gonna find the stun. Teleport coming down for Glacial Esports, looking to find a man advantage in the fight. It's gonna be Top Prodigy taking down his Kaitazor, finishes him off with the unleashed power after the teleport into the fray. 5v4 on the map now in favor of Glacial Esports. Baron not a possibility just yet. Dragon and 45. They can't get too much with this advantage, just the kill onto the Viego.
The Rakan R was burned there. It'll be interesting to see what PSE decides to do here, whether they want to contest or not. I feel like at this point you should. I feel like this is a good chance for you to be able to come back there. Of course, that TP was burned by Kaitazura too, so there are a couple things to really take note of there. That ultimate shouldn't be available before this Dragon fight if things get started off right away. 20 seconds on this Dragon. GB is going to get this reset, but PSE is a first out on the map.
Yeah, absolutely. They are going to have a chance at getting set up for this objective due to, the tempo and the results of that last play and just the timings of the teams being able to get back out here. And the gold has extended a little bit in favor of Glacial Esports. They are up around 4K now. But again, they do not have the position as PS Elementary have made it into the river first. They're immediately going to start up the objective. Shirley has been summoned to make her way into the mid lane. It's Junha on the flank. Fiora looking to be a nuisance. Off on the side here, the riposte will come out. The scatter onto 4. Oh, it's absolutely massive for Glacial Esports. They find the Giga engage, and they absolutely wipe in the team fight. They won out in game number 1. It's a quadra kill now for the jungler, and out of nowhere, they take complete control of this second game.
That was such a big wombo. And they still have this Rift Hero too. 34 HP. It's just a cherry on top. You're gonna get that crash. More than likely to hit yourself this turret here, but once this team comp comes online, they come online, they outscale. It's really difficult right now for BSE to be able to deal with this. This Fiora is going to be a huge menace at this point right now. 0 and 2 doesn't matter much for a score line at this point right now. When you're Fiora, you know that you got 1,500 gold in the bank. You're going to be able to reset, work towards that second item. So your split push win con's there. Your 4v4, it's pretty much there too. It's hard to argue when you see plays like that.
Absolutely. I was just everything coming together for Glacial Esports in that last fight. And everything up until that point, just setting up for them to capitalize in the team fight. And that's kind of what they drafted for as well, right? With these engaged champs, right? They just need to execute in the team fights. They need to find those priority targets. They absolutely were able to. And again, the knock up onto 2 from Slight Lego, the charm as well for the follow-up, and they just annihilate Shima before the Xayah can do anything. Even had Featherstorm, didn't get to cast it. Silva is going to get hit by the charm here's Top Prodigy. Oh, what's the Viego doing so deep into the enemy jungle when you have so little tempo on the map? Just going to get taken down as Rakan glides over and dances onto the Viego's body. That is going to be once more Glacial Esports finding big advantages.
Big advantages every which way. And at one point, we were talking about just how fed Top Prodigy was, but it seemed like that one death that we ended up seeing towards that bot side could be a bit of an over.
Oh, pain?
Yeah. Okay.
Didn't.
Okay.
You okay?
I mean, glass half full, right? You say Gragas got it, like support. Like support got it, so it's not so bad. That's 1,000 gold.
Big brain.
That's right. We set the bounty, right?
Anyway, and now.
Yeah, that was gonna die no matter what.
Exactly.
All right. Anyway, back to my original point really quickly there. Top Prodigy, after that one death towards that bot side, right? At that one point, I think he was 8 and 1. We saw we're 700 gold. Popang gets that kill. Of course, he wasn't quite caught up in that XP. CS, we'll talk later.
Kaitazur here. This is the Bane carry. Kaitazur has been performing so well. Looking to be taken down. Will be shut down by Submit. Only the second death this game for Kaitazur. The second death all night for Kaitazur. Baron spawning right now. 5v4 for PSE, but doesn't seem like they're going to be able to capitalize.
They got a bit of a footing there, though. That's nice to see. It feels like that's the first heads-up play that's actually worked out for them in a while here. And Shima could be in a little bit of trouble here. Okay.
The Featherstorm out just from the lunge forward from the Fiora.
Yes, and Junha just applying so much pressure here. Submit. Doing pretty well in this Aatrox. You got to give it to him. Doesn't quite have that second item, but might be able to find something here. Popang, though.
All right. Goon Squad on the way, but Popang has scouted it out, looking for Shima. The Xayah has just respawned, and it's going to get taken down once again. It's going to be Aatrox now flashing over the wall to try and get away. The E as well, the Umbral dash, but the flash follow from Sly Lego locks up the Aatrox with the quickness. Once again, the dash over the wall, but there's just too many members of Glacial Esports here. There's no way for the Aatrox to escape. Submit's going to be taken down, and now it's 5v3 on Summoner's Rift. Glacial Esports looking to get a little bit more.
Yeah, you give them an inch and they'll take a mile, and with this team comp, you could really see it taking effect. That Jinx able to just sit back there, collect as much damage as possible. Junha just continuously split pushing this, becoming a massive menace. And Top Prodigy, unfortunately, level 10 at this point right now. Not too far down. Does have that ward, though. This actually could be a steal. Which could buy quite a bit of time here. I don't know.
In the area. Doesn't seem like he's been spotted. Just hanging out over there in the tri-brush. Yeah, it does have vision in the Baron Pit as well. But no ult and no flash. Turk. So hard for the Viego to actually get in here. He is going to try and dive forward, but the scatter again, beautiful from the Syndra. Kaitazur completely stymies that attempt at an engage. It's going to be the Baron secured, and it's going to be the Glacial Esports 5 men strong looking to siege the enemy base. And
you wondered if GB was going to give them that window right there, and okay.
Rush away. Ahri staying alive for now.
Pretty safe. But ultimately, they don't. That pink ward does come in, and Top Prodigy elects to look for the play itself, try to find those kills, but you're so far down at this point. It's so difficult to be able to find anything to make happen right now, and the priority goes from top side, grabbing that Baron all the way down towards the spot lane. Meanwhile, Junaha on this Fiora is just split pushing the whole time, but Dragon is
With
now
Baron now.
controlled. Yeah, that's right. Dragon is controlled at this point right now. You know that. Eventually, this inhibitor is going to go down too, but you can't kill this Fiora at this point right now. This is constantly just going to be a thorn in your side.
Seems like they might want to try, but Eclipse Bullet is just getting absolutely shredded. That was 2 or 3 auto attacks, and the Grog is almost dead. Has to go golden. Buy enough time. That wasn't a Zhonya's either. That was just a stopwatch for Ecliptic Bolt. It's going to be a long time till he gets that stasis again. In fact, I think the game will probably end before that happens, as the Dragon will go over. Second Cloud Dragon for Glacial Esports, as we do see Slot Lego getting stunned up in the mid lane. Heartbreaker to commit onto the Rakan, though he's so slippery. He dodges away from the charm, and the collapse comes through from Silva, who stacks up that attack speed, nails the double kill, and now it's going to be pushing all 3 lanes as Glacial Esports look to close this one out and end the regular season with a 2-0.
That's exactly what they're looking to do here, and at this point, you cross your T's and you dot your I's. We're going to grab that top inhibitor. We're going to grab this mid inhibitor right next, and oh, that ult does hit. Okay.
In comes the Briar. Okay. That's going to be straight onto the Zai as well. Goes up into the air with the Feather Storm. Can't quite find the pullback, but at least the Zai able to stay alive for now. Stunned up, though. Barely able to make it back onto the fountain. Never mind. It's going to be Silva with the range, with the attack speed. Now the Jinx is excited as she needs to be. That's going to be the Nexus turrets going down, and the rest of PS Elementary along with them. And it's going to be Glacial Esports Black. I believe they cannot challenge for second, but they will prevent PS Elementary from having the opportunity to do so, as they absolutely demolish their competition, their closest competition heading into playoffs.
Yeah, it really didn't feel close when GEB ended up just clicking together and grouping up. At that point, it just seemed like it was blown out of the water, and that's another example. I mean, at the end of the day, it's tricky. Like, you have a lot of things to ban. You got to kind of wonder what you can do on PSE's side, right? I like the Viego pick a lot. I mean, at the end of the day, it really came out clutch. Just unfortunately, it seemed like when it came down to it, maybe you could work on a couple things about the draft itself. It's a little tricky to say, but I think the real main thing I want to highlight is probably just, if you're looking for those picks, you're trying to find those plays in the jungle, whether you're on Ari or whatever champion it is to set that play up, what you want to make sure that you do is you push those waves first. If you don't push those waves, the enemy can respond, and chances are, if you're inside their jungle, they can respond quicker than your team can. So get those waves crashed. As soon as you do, then you can look for those plays. I really just feel like PSE was missing a couple steps when it came to this game, both Game 1 and Game 2, honestly. Game 1, a little bit more understanding, right, because you didn't have much wave clear, but in the future, yeah, if you're PSE, if you're looking for things to solve, especially in the draft phase, you can 100% look to draft more champions with wave clear. Maybe put more of a priority on the Jinx itself, especially this patch. If they didn't know, now you do. Jinx is absolutely beyond busted right now. Rakan itself too seemed like it could have been a good heads up play. Maybe the R1, R2, you go for the Zai Rakan, look for that Viego on 3. Maybe GEB denies. That's tough to say, but a lot of semantics. But that is League of Legends. You can always question what you can and what you can't do. And at the end of the day, I think the main thing to take away is get those waves pushed if you're PSE. Then you can look for those setup. You can find those picks.
Yeah. I mean, I think we do need to remember that we had some pretty competitive early games, right, Turk? It's not like
Yeah,
we're getting
100%.
completely blown out of the water here. You know, it's not like they were getting completely hands diffed or anything like that. You know, they were finding counter punches. We had, you know, despite the 2-0 result, it was a relatively competitive couple of games, I would say.
I agree. 100%. I agree. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it really did come down to, like, down the stretch in those key moments. It felt like Glacial Esports were just a little bit more coordinated. You know, they understood their win conditions maybe just a little bit better, and were able to execute better as a team. You know,
100%.
in those team fight scenarios to actually, you know, make good on their dive comps.
That's right. It's a fundamentals agreement. 100%. You nailed it. It really, at the end of the day, GEB just recognizes what they need to do as a team. They've played together for a while now, if I'm not mistaken, 2-3 years at this point here. So they've had that time to be able to develop that synergy, work on their teamwork. And of course, you could really see it start to take show, especially when you take a look at scenarios where, yeah, the early game is as even as what it is. And then before you know it, the mid game is completely blown wide open. All of the dragons are now denied, right? You're sitting on soul point. Like, you're finding pick after pick after pick in the enemy jungle, and you're constantly bouncing and rotating your vision from bot side, where you pressure mid and you pressure bot, into top side, play around Baron, and then back to Dragon when it respawns. And they've really just got things dialed in, it seems like, and they did a good job. It'll be interesting to see now, of course, right? Both of these teams have qualified for playoffs, obviously, but once the seeding does sit in, I don't quite know where everybody's going to be going, but GEB 100% is going to be a front runner, I believe, for that final spot. I played against these guys several times already at this point. I feel like most people know that by now because I think I mention every time I cast them. But yeah, I think GEB, their record is not indicative of how good of a team they are, and I guess time will tell. I'm looking forward to being able to cast the next match next week. But for me, yeah, it's just a good, solid game by GEB, a team that's just frankly really strong.
Yeah, definitely looking good tonight, and wanting to have that strong performance going into the playoffs right now. Being able to accomplish that, I'm sure it feels great for them. But we'll have to wait and see. I can't quite find any other results that did come through from this evening, Turk. So yeah, I'm not quite sure what that actual seating, what that playoff bracket is going to look like. It does seem here. What's this now? Okay, so it looks like the Akuma did win out against Koi. So the top two teams, I think, did end up winning out in their respective matches. It looks like 2-0s both for both sides. So that should mean then that Glacial Esports secure themselves in third. And we are going to see Peace Elementary locked into that fourth spot.
Okay, so there we go. There we have it right there. And yeah, it's a pleasure to be able to cast this once again. Really exciting to see all this stuff going on here. And as we round out getting towards playoffs, I know this is my favorite time. I absolutely love being able to cast for this stuff because this is do or die at this point. We move ourselves into best of fives. So we go straight from the semis and we go straight to the finals. So things are going to really take off right away, really quickly. And yeah, of course, you got that best of three format, which is great. You really get a chance to feel out the other team. But when it comes to best of five, that's really when you could pull out all the stops. Obviously, you have those windows, you have those timings where, say, if you do take game one or you do take game two, you have a bit more flexibility in your draft. You're able to kind of try other things out, maybe if you want, or you can pull out some things that you've been waiting to for those right moments. So, of course, with those semis and those finals, you really need to do that 2 times. Right? You pull it off once, you're in the finals. Pull it off again, you've won. So yeah, this is gonna be awesome. I can't wait to see where the seating sits, who we're casting next week. But I'll give it to the boys from GEB. I feel like they drafted really well. They did a great job. They effectively executed the same comp twice, right? Of course, they had the Nocturne game one, and then they had the Briar game two, right? They had that follow up with that Recon, and Sly Lago just did a really good job. You can see the priority being put on it really well. Like
Yeah.
game one, right? You see that B1 Recon pick coming in, and of course, I think we had the Rel ban coming in. That was the main thing, which I think you could make the argument that the Rel ban could be just a nice flex ban in general, right? Because you have that Rel, you could take jungle or you could take it support. But long story short, the priority on that Recon 100% paid off. There's no doubt about it. Did a great job on that champion. Silva just solid. He's a rock. You can almost always expect that from him. Kaitazur constantly getting the prio. Game one, especially, right? You have that Oriana into that Cassidy matchup, but all the priority that you have, see him rotating, moving into the enemy jungle with Popang, setting things up, and he did a really good job with that too. And of course, Popang, like you got to give it to the man. Like the Briar setback early on, right? He gets invaded, still gets his level 2 off of his wolves. He's able to rotate, looks to contest, ends up taking 2 turret shots, and then gets killed for it. But before you know it, he's back in the race. He gets a 700 gold bounty, 1,000 gold in total, picks it up bot lane, heads towards top side, finds another kill on that, and before you know it, the tempo's completely switched. GB has control, and that's it. That's all she wrote.
Yeah, absolutely. GEB, as that's a nice summary for us, Turk. Thank you very much. But yeah, it's a pretty straightforward, especially when you put it that way so succinctly for us and what they were able to execute on tonight. But as you also mentioned, best of fives from here on out. That is going to be really exciting to see, especially on this new patch. I think it feels like there's a lot of stuff that people haven't really tapped into yet. I feel like there's a lot of picks that are a lot stronger now that people just haven't really discovered. So
Yeah, for
being able to have that week now on the new patch, a full week before the playoffs actually begin, should be really fun to see what all these guys are able to come up with.
yeah, completely agree. Yeah, that patch is a really big thing, right? If any potential teams or enemies are facing GEB here in the upcoming week here, it'll be interesting to see what they decide to ban, right? There's quite a few bans that you need to worry about, or quite a few things that you need to consider at this point. You also got to keep in mind that GEB wasn't at full strength. They didn't have Leota in the top lane, right? Of course, they have Junaha,
And
so he's ended up playing that top side. He did a great job. both game one and
It,
game two. Game one, unfortunately, he was shafted a little bit on the Jax. Like, one point he's down 50 CS, but before you know it, the man's ahead. He's 3 levels, actually, at one point,
really?
level 17 to
Yeah.
14. So, like, he did a great job. Everybody did with GEB. But yeah, you really got to wonder what you end up doing versus them. Like, there's no doubt you can't leave Jinx up. Jinx is 100%. That's gone, whether you're picking it or whether you're red side and you need to ban it. That needs to be off the table. There's no question about it. Then you ask yourself, do you worry about the Rakan? Right? Do you deal with that? What about the Briar? You got to worry about that. Of course, when Leota's there, he's got his Ornn, he's got his Shen. He's just really the weak side warrior. There's a lot of things that you got to figure out how you're going to deal with when it comes to GEB. And yeah, when it comes to playoff time, that's when they pop off. That's when they play their best. So next week's gonna be fun, man. I can't wait.
a problem for their opponents, certainly, but I think we can get back to all of that later, Turk. We're about ready to close out the show for tonight. Before we do, let's get the player of the match vote from you. You know, obviously, in game number one, we ended up looking towards Sly Lego on that. Rakan managed to get his hands on it once again here for game two. Is that where you would like to look once again? Or, you know, Silva had the B1 Jinx this time around and did have the most damage in this particular game. Popeng on the Briar as well. An exciting pick to pull out, certainly. Where are you leaning?
Um, it's a little tricky. There, my mind. I'm kind of like I'm in limbo here between Popang and Sly Lego. They both played really well again. Sly Lego, just all the advantages that he's able to get, the priority to get the vision control, and then actually rotating with Popang. But I think for game number two, I'm actually going to give it to Popang. I think he did a great job on that Briar, and that's a pick that just GEB as a whole is known for. Like they will pull that out no matter what, no matter who's playing jungle. That's just a champ that they've dialed in really well, and I feel like they could play well around it. I mentioned it earlier where he ended up getting not really too far behind. At one point it was 2K, getting that 1K gold, but when the goal comes in, when the items come in, Popang is really able to make a lot of plays happen, and more importantly, he's able to really push the tempo that he has for his team, right? So if he's at least neutral, he's invading, he's trying to set up plays, he's making the enemy jungler's life very difficult, and the enemy laners too. Now they need to decide, right? If you don't have that control, which Kaitazor did such a great job of, or you could take a look at Silva or even June. Every laner did a really good job of being able to push those waves in. Then what do you do? Right, so Popang has a lot of confidence in his laners. Obviously, you could see that translates back and forth with the laners to him. And I think he did a really good job when it came down to it. Just push those edges that he got. And yeah, once he was able to get back into the game, it just seemed like he accelerated it that much quicker. So I could have gave it game two, I think, to Sly Lego again. He did great, but I think we'll share the wealth here a little bit and give it to Popang.
Absolutely. Love it, Turk. Popeng going absolutely berserk on that Briar, and especially impressive, as you briefly mentioned, considering the fact that was facing that deficit from the level one, right?
Yeah.
Successful level one that came out from PS Elementary, but Popeng was able to keep the mental and was able to bounce back really, really strongly in this one to help the team get the win. So very nice there. And again, going to be a GEB looking really strong heading into playoffs. But Turk, do you have any other final thoughts before we close out this stream?
Yeah, it's fun being able to cast again. I'm excited, man. Like looking forward to playoffs, and that's really when things get going. That's where I sit down with my little like notepad and my pen, and I write down scenarios in my head that never happened. But that's like the fun part. That's where you can kind of theory craft. So, as a caster, I really appreciate that. As a player, I love it too. So I'm looking forward to that. I mean, I'll give it to PSE too. I think they had a lot of like good moments in that series. I wouldn't be too upset by really anything at that point. Like you're still in playoffs, obviously. It's not like you're not. So at that point, you're really just playing to get a feel for GEB, how they play, work on the fundamentals that you guys need to do. And there's a lot of stuff that you can go over in those games. Like I hate to say it, but if you're GEB, you're not going to learn nearly as much as what PSE is from that series. There's no question about it, right? At the end of the day, GEB just played the game. They did it well, but they weren't challenged really when it came down to big game. But PSE was, right? So we already alluded to it. The one thing that you could do course is draft more champions with wave clear and with just prio in general. 100% that is a must. There's no doubt about that. But the other thing too is really getting back to the fundamentals and dialing things in, pushing those waves, getting that vision set up, not funneling into choke points when there are champions like Oriana Shockwave happen multiple times, or the Rakan before you know he's in the back line. So lots of things to take away from PSE, but there are a lot of fixable things. Individually as players, they're great. Like they're phenomenal players. They're toe to toe with GEB. There's no question about it. Just when it came down to it, mid game was a little sus at times, and that's a okay. Plenty of stuff to be able to VOD review, and GEB's feeling good going into playoffs. PSE's got a lot to work with going into playoffs, so it's fun, man. I can't wait to see where casting next.
Absolutely, Turk. All these teams do have some time to tidy up before next week, but for now, that's going to do it from us. So, everybody, thank you very much for watching. It's been a great regular season. We haven't been able to cast all of it, but still, we're saving the best for last.
Yeah.
Playoffs right around the corner now. We'll see you there. From myself, from Turk, from the production team here at Victorious, thank you very much. Have a great night. We'll see you back here next week, same time, same place for the postseason. Take care.
See you then. Take care.
When it can get no worse, I can feel it running out on me. I don't want these to be my last words. All forgotten, 'cause that's all they'll be. Now there's only one thing I can do, fight until the end like I promised to. Wishing there was something left to lose. This could be the day I die for you. What do you see before it's over? Blinding flashes getting closer. Wish that I had something left to lose. This could be the day I die for you. This could be the day I die.